What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 59 of my Total Warhammer 3 Ikit Claw Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, Ikit got to work acquiring some warp fuel and basically decimating the forces of the Broken Axe. I do have 2 full stacks remaining, but they all have parted in Ikit's way as he has trundled along together with Pumpernickel towards the massive Orcal. It looks like we'll be having to take it, and I guess we will have to take it manually because, well, we can't trust auto-resolve against the garrison because we won't be able to heal up. In addition to that, Mr. Mutant 1. This is Mutant 1, right? The Constructor, yes? Yeah, this is Mutant the Constructor. He has managed to get himself some nice kills as he actually got an ambush going. Finally, 'twas one, and it was partly all my fault because I hadn't realized that he had bonded service instead of ancient cunning. You heard me. Oh, Slaneshi giggle intensifies. Yeah, I should have reset his skills. That was my bad. He was never intended to be a combat lord, in my defense. So yeah. Yeah, we'll probably still have to reset the character skills just because this is quite a lot to deal with, and we'll need to power up the units as much as we can, but still. And damn. Alrighty, so let's see what we gotta do this episode. Now, first of all, I guess we'll start with a quick little battle at the Massive Orc. Well, then again, you know what, this is probably going to be an easy enough battle that we can fight this manually, so maybe we fight like a cinematic first. Or, for example, do a little bit of admin. There's really not much left this turn. This turn's been going on for a while, let's face it. I guess we could send Charge Lock to Salzenmund, mostly because it'll be a while before Krakadrak actually gets to us. So, free territory. And we could always trade Salzenmund for Longship Graveyard so that we have this entire territory, and they have this territory. Granted, we'd be missing out on a, on some wood, but, do we care that much? Do we actually want to use food on this? Maybe. I mean, if we're gonna trade it, then we probably don't care. You know, I'll just colonize it at tier 1. Don't even waste the food. I wonder if they're willing to trade this for Longship Graveyard immediately. Longship Graveyard for... That was Salzenmund, right? Yeah. Wow, okay, maybe they will want it a little bit more once we level it up. Damn. I wasn't expecting that since this is a capital, and on top of that has timber, but I guess this is tier 3 and this is only tier 1. Still, kind of shocking that they really don't want that trade. We might have to betray and kill you. We only do have a trade agreement. Oh wow, we're getting 1,000 gold from that? Okay, that's not bad, I gotta say. That's probably more than 2 settlements would generate? Yeah. Alright, fine, I guess you get to live for now. We'll see about it, though. Anyway, let's continue, and I think there's pretty much no admin left. We can move a few heroes around, send you to Throt, for example. And though, of course, that's presuming that we don't actually move Throt. And there may be good reason to move him down to Karakungur, just because he might be able to catch some of these orc armies. Yeah, you know what? Let's put Throt, let's say, somewhere up here. Put him into ambush stance near Karakungur. Like so. He won't have Typhus Rat with him, but I guess he will next turn. And then we'll see if these guys go here, whether they might jump down and get intercepted by Throt. It's all a possibility. Alrighty, now. Let's do another fight, shall we? I'm kind of inclined to have Metable fight this, mostly because it seems like a really fun battle by virtue of being extremely difficult. For his army in particular. All those Iron Breakers and absolutely no way to destroy them from a distance. So yeah, you know what? Let's have Metable do his thing. Let us upgrade you a little bit. You got 2 points. Now, respected and feared, you already have all of your... I guess we could get Infiltrator. Nothing else is going to be all that useful here. Ancient Cunning could help us with regards to guaranteeing that ambush. Yeah, you know what, I guess we get Ancient Cunning first. Not making that mistake again. And then you can have Counter Strike, I guess. Almost to Assassin's Trophy, but just a little bit short, unfortunately. And we don't have enough Assassins to actually mentor. We'll get Warp Fireball for you, my friend, and... one more point in Armor of Darkness. Yeah, Arcane... well, no, Arcane Conduit... oh, damn it. Whoa, 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 whoa. I pressed the wrong thing. And... oh, pressing that actually commits the points. Ah, well, too late now. I was gonna say Arcane Conduit would be better for that battle rather than a second point in Armor of Darkness, but to be fair, a second point in Armor of Darkness wouldn't go to waste either, so not a big deal. Medable, time to go. Let's see if you can't get one more ambush. And yes, you can. It'll be a close defeat. This one, not surprising. Mostly because, once again, 6 units of Ironbreakers is quite a bit. I'm going to be interested to see if we can actually pull this one off. And I guess we're going to see right now. Here we go, cinematically. Alrighty, I am extremely excited about this battle. This is probably going to be the most difficult battle of this particular turn that just won't end. Mostly because that is just way too many Ironbreakers. 6 Ironbreakers and 3 Hammers plus some Slayers. In addition to that, the Ironbreakers have a 70 defense when debuffed and 90 whatever it was when buffed, and 150 armor. Even with the Weeping Blade reducing it, they're still going to have a pretty massive amount of armor. As usual, we're going to do 2 things immediately to start off the battle, which is pop that Veil of Shadows, just to block a few of the enemy units and prevent them from moving into position, while we also summon that Ix's Triad's Decoy/Clone to block as many units as we can. Once again, it would have been really nice to be able to get a Black Whirlwind going on the units here, but unfortunately we just don't start with enough mana in this particular army to be able to cast it. Now the Eshin Triads in general are going to have to hold off a pretty massive number of Ironbreakers. 1-on-1 and probably even 2-on-1, they wouldn't beat one of these units. They're just way too hard to kill, and the stat disparity is pretty massive. The armor comparison, the defense comparison, heck, the Ironbreakers even hit harder. Their weapon strength is bigger. That's almost surprising, though at least we have some armor piercing with the Eshin Triads, which I guess should help out, but damn. It's gonna be interesting. On the bright side, we do have the ambush debuff, which is pretty good. The leadership is meaningless, and the charge bonus is also meaningless for pretty much all Dwarven units, with the exception of the Slayers. But the melee defense and melee attack at 22% is pretty darn nice. Now, the rest of our units, we've actually used our slingers as melee troops here because somebody needed to attack with the Minotaurs, as every single one of the Eshin Triads was needed to distract the Ironbreakers. We can't allow the Ironbreakers to fire and their satchel charges, or they'll just absolutely cripple units in a single volley. So in the meantime, it'll be our Death Runners and our Slingers in melee, plus our Minotaurs, who are going to have to try to work on killing all of these ranged units, and then moving in to kill the Hammerers, ideally, and the Slayers, and then afterwards the Ironbreakers, which are going to be around for a long time. This does, however, mean that there are no units of Slingers that are able to deal with this Brimstone Gun Gyrocopter set, but I figured we needed the melee units more than we needed somebody to continue fire on the Brimstone Guns. Although these things aren't too bad, and they can do quite a lot of damage, as we've seen. Well, actually not in this campaign, but we've certainly seen. Oh wow. Dwarfs going flying after Minotaurs, and ooh, looks like the Brimstone Gun killed a Minotaur there. Nice job. Nice job. On the bright side, it looks like the ranged units, at the very least, are in very bad shape, and as usual, our 2 assassins have basically taken care of the enemy lord. It is a Rune Lord, so it'll drop a little bit quicker, I think, than a Dwarf Lord. But honestly, the Dwarf Lords don't last all that long either, especially against the 2 assassins. Double Skaven Brew plus pretty insane amounts of damage means that the Lords, at the least, don't stand much of a chance. Unfortunately, the assassins aren't all that great at at helping out the infantry line. So if we had a warlord, we could just pop it in to help out against the Ironbreakers, but here, not much we can do. A warp fireball coming out, and the enemy lord does get brought down in the middle of the enemy blob here. Fortunately, the unit of Ironbreakers that is the most northern, this one that's being focused down by our gutter runners with shurikens, is taking quite a lot of damage, is already below half HP. That said, our Ix's triads are already basically dead. One of our other triad units is at half HP, and we are going to have to continue trying to summon some clan rats just to stop the enemy, because this is still a massive amount of units that have a lot of HP. Although at the very least, the gutter runners here are doing a pretty darn good job chucking those shurikens into the back of those Ironbreakers, finding chinks in their armor or maybe just getting caught in their beards. Alrighty, well done to you guys. Keep holding ground. You've got a lot of work still. And damn, those brimstone guns still firing, eh? I do like the looks of the brimstone guns and the way they fire. It would be nice to actually have seen, to make a army with brimstone gun gyrocopters and then Cathayan units, specifically Cathayan Grand Cannons, because they look kind of similar firing, and the Cathayan Air Force as well. As in the Sky Junks. And just might as well download the Thunder Barges as well and just make a massive Air Force. Damn, now I'm really tempted to do that sort of thing. I gotta look into it at some point. Anyway, at the very least, the gyrocopters' non-stop, incessant harassment of our forces aside, they're still at half ammo and have got 64 kills to their name, huh? I wonder, I feel like the gyrocopters may actually do the most damage out of all the enemy units here. Just judging by the looks of this. But anyway, regardless of what they're doing, most of the enemy ranged units are dead. The hammerers and the longbeards and slayers are still fighting, but we will soon hopefully be able to move on to helping out against the Ironbreakers. And not a moment too soon by the looks of it. The Eshin Triads here are nearly done for. The others are all at half HP or lower, and it's very concerning. Though it looks like the gutter runners have run out of ammunition and are charging in, or at least one of them is. Unfortunately, with the other unit of Eshin Triads backing off, the enemy is free to chuck those satchels at our gutter runners, which means a single volley takes them from 100% HP down to about 35%, maybe 40%. Another volley will just destroy the units, so we charge them in just to once again prevent those units from firing. And now they have a massive enough blob that they can actually peel away those Ironbreakers if we let them, which obviously we don't want them to. Alrighty, otherwise the balance of power is still pretty even, and our units are very badly damaged pretty much everywhere. As we can see, even though the units that were killing the ranged units did well, the fact that they were gutter runner slingers acting as melee troops means that they got very badly beat up by the enemy melee and range, I suppose. So it's still quite dangerous. At the very least, the piles of Minotaurs are still helping out here, but they're getting quite hurt as well. And we actually have to back them off so that the Slayers don't kill them. I guess I suppose against the Slayers it might actually be better for the gutter runners with slings to, you know, use their bodies essentially. Ooh, and a warp bomb coming down. That warp bomb was used on one of our units of summoned clan rats there. So it did have 2 units of Ironbreakers. It's still not great. And that's still a lot of units to work through. In fact, it barely killed any of their models. It just did a lot of damage to their HP, but still, just hold the line if you can. Oh no, and another blob of satchel charges coming down on our poor clan rat, or not clan rats, our poor gutter runners, who are now just breaking off. Shattered immediately off of that volley, which, you know, not surprising. You get 80 satchel charges in your face, you're probably going to shatter. Alright, it's gonna come down to it. Balance of power is still close to even, but still in our favor. Though we are starting to run out of Eshin Triads, and it's going to be a lot of work for the Death Runners and the Gutter Runners to hold on. On the bright side, though, finally the enemy Hammerers and Slayers and whatever remained of the enemy range are done for, and our Minotaurs can move in to help, hitting the back of the enemy Hammerers and slightly the back of the enemy enemy Iron Breakers as well. Now the enemy is surrounded, but they still do have to be destroyed, and our losses are certainly a lot more than we've ever encountered before with this army. 800 losses already, and probably going to be at least a few more before the end. Our lords and heroes are also pretty badly damaged. Our Russian sorcerer at 30 HP, Metable is also pretty badly beat up, and really I feel like it's just the armor of darkness that's really helping. The fact that we're blobbed up is really great because it allows us to make use of the fact that these guys don't... Damn it, I just want to select the Iron Breakers game. It allows us to make good use of the fact that these guys don't have a lot of armor-piercing damage, and the fact that we don't have a lot of armor. Really, really helpful spell, even if we couldn't use Brittle Bone or Black Whirlwind or anything like that. Still, we did get to the Armor of Darkness here because it is a spammable spell. I really like Foz Protection in the Light lore for the exact same reason, and I just spam that spell constantly rather than using half the other spells in the lore. Actually, the main reason I like the lore of Light. I mean, yeah, Net of Amantok, but that only applies with the ranged armies primarily. At least it's helpful with ranged armies. And it looks like, judging by the fact that the enemies started to mill around crazily, finally their Iron Breakers have decided to break. Ooh. Brittle Bone aside, I guess their iron was too brittle, but damn, it certainly came close. Look at how hurt those Eshin Triads are, and really all of our units. And that poor unit of Gutter Runners that shattered after all those satchel charges. But hey, at least we got a nice shot of them getting hit by it, so I'll take it. I think all of the clan Skryre experimenters would appreciate that sort of thing. Acquired some data. Anyway, let's see. Ooh. I'd love it if the rats were to... Well, I guess the Poison Wind Globadiers are kind of similar in concept to what the Satchel Charges do, but they don't have that much explosive damage. And same with the Death Globes, I think. I'd actually love to compare a volley from each of them at the same unit. For example, using a unit of Skaven Slave Spears to test. Otherwise, it would be nice for the rats to steal some satchel charges from the dwarfs and fuse them with warpstone and then chuck them right back at the enemy just to test out. I feel like that's a way that the war between them could evolve slightly. Depending on if the Death Globes are in fact inferior against the satchel charges. I would think that the satchel charges are superior against blobs of unarmored units, and the Death Globes are superior against tight formations of armored units, since that's what they're really for. But really, the Death Globes pretty much explode everything. Anyway, there we go, a Pyrrhic battle, or a Pyrrhic victory rather, for us. It certainly took some effort, but it was a really fun fight, and it was almost 6 minutes, 5.5 minutes of straight up battle line combat, which is definitely much, much longer than all the other ambushes. Still, Metable pulls it off, and there are no more viable armies remaining, and I'm not sure anything other than the Gyrocopter escaped in this particular battle, but you know, let's find out. Ooh, alrighty, we certainly had to work for that one. That army was obviously the worst possible matchup that we could have, for Metable has a pile of Iron Breakers, and Hammerers is really not something his army was designed to face. But it'll get better at doing things like that when we have those extra Gutter Runners with poison rather than those slingers, which had to be used as melee troops now, and thus it didn't really achieve all that much. But once again, not all that surprising. Actually, their damage was a little bit on par, similar to the Eshin Triads there, so not a crazy amount of difference. Also, we're going to obviously eat the captives, but it's not that much of a heal compared to what we've gotten before. So that's a little bit unfortunate for Metable. However, the enemy armies are basically dead at this point, and they can't take anything, so we're done pretty much with Karak Norn. Of course, we still have to destroy the faction, but yeah, we're done dealing with them for now, at least. And then Metable can go somewhere else, perhaps to reinforce against Karak Hearn if it survives, or and down to the dwarfs here, or otherwise to start marching. We may have to create essentially a front line here against the dwarfs of Zufbar, Karakadrin, and then the orcs here and here. And gonna be pretty interesting, but we still have to get there. So, Ikit, now it's your turn, my friend. You are going to attack Massive Porcal, but we will do it manually. In fact, we can't break the siege. We're stuck here. Okay, well, I guess we don't have much of a choice. Let's attack this. Do this manually as quickly as we can. And it is a map with a blind spot with the towers, which I guess is going to work fairly well for us. And depending on how the enemy deploys, of course. Killing the enemy buildable towers in this one is quite annoying, but at the very least the wall towers shouldn't be able to really achieve anything. Now we are going to deploy same as usual here, so Warp Lightning will start with you. You just got to be in range of the enemy tower, let's say there, and then you... Catapult, and then you... can the Warp Lightning fire over the catapult? I'm not sure. Let's not risk it. Let's say like that. I don't remember how wide that particular unit's range is. And then let's get the mortar here. Actually, a little bit closer, like so. I'll have to move it anyway. Alrighty, and then everybody else could just be back here. We'll move them when necessary, maybe a little bit closer, so the enemy doesn't actually deploy somewhere crazy. Ikit needs to be here. Warp Fire Throwers, you can be here as well. Though I don't imagine we'll have too much use for you in this particular battle. Alrighty, here we go. Start deployment and start battle. Kill that tower. Ikit's going to be fired upon by it, but he'll be fine. I'm sure he can just heal up. Alright, towers are working. You can use ballistics calibration on them. Or on the catapults, rather. Or on the artillery in general. And mortars. Let's move you up, shall we? Let's say up here. There we go. A few more volleys, and I'm sure that tower, will go down. Unlimited power for you. Let's... Well, we can't really use any spells here, so you just gotta work on negate. Go into melee, please, while you're at it. And then go for the next tower. And I guess we can start moving some units closer, so let's put you up here like so, where the tower can't attack you. And then the Jezzails as well, well, I guess the Jezzails can technically fire over you to some degree. You guys can stay where you are, actually. Warp Fire Throwers, you can move forward though. And I guess we'll take off or turn off the skirmish mode on everybody if I didn't already. And 1 second, while that all is happening, I have to move my cat. Let's have the Warp Lightning attack the tower. Alright, there we go. Alright, how are we doing? I see that our catapults are not firing anymore. Did I also tell them to attack you? To attack the black works up there. And we've actually made it through the gate. Oh, alright, well then. Let's move up closer. Nobody else is gonna fire. Ikit, you can get inside the settlement then. And pop a brass orb right there in the middle of that. If you can stop those enemies from moving, we will pop the clan Skryre. It doesn't really stop them that well. At least not this time around. But we can still damage them. Like so, with the Warp Lightning. Alright, you guys aren't gonna stop Ikit. Huh, that didn't seem to do as much damage to the airboys. Oh, I guess there were a bunch of other units in there. Ikit, don't get trapped by the trolls though. Go charge that unit. And towers are looking okay. Alright, how's our death, avalanche mortars, or rather death? Let's move you up a little bit closer, and one of you, how's Ikit? Ikit looks just fine. Let's also start summoning units inside. Once again, we want to avoid casualties as much as possible, so I'd rather just continue the bombardment, not really bother to commit the mainline troops. You can start making some breaches in the walls. I don't necessarily want to move anybody inside, though. And Ikit fire on this. Or cast on this, and then charge down here into those Orc Biggins. Use that Forbidden Rod, that unlimited power, and maybe use your Storm Demon on those trolls. I don't know if it'll be effective at them. Let's find out. Is that it? Or was that a regular shot? I don't know. Didn't seem all that effective, but hey, you did something. Alrighty, warp fire throwers. I actually don't want you getting hit by enemy range. You catapults, move where the mortars are, and where one of the engineers is. Towers can still do their thing. Let's also have Ikit charge those range units, continue to annoy them. Up your defensive ability as well, and then as soon as they're tied up, use some casting. Lovely. Alright, how many more enemy units in here? Or at least how many more are going to continue trying to fight? Actually, as long as we keep summoning Storm Merman, I wish. As long as we keep summoning units in here, we should be okay. Crack Skull takes how long to summon? Ah, it's gonna take too long. You know what, screw it, don't bother. Use that instead. There you go, and... you know what, let's use a Flensing Ruin just because I want to see what the effect is. It doesn't really do much in this particular situation since there's no single targets. And I want to see what the effect looks like. Oh, like a little crackling lightning in a circle on everybody. Actually, it might be a nice thing to use in combination with the Skryre Clanstone. Maybe next time. Alrighty, catapults, can you target anybody? Well, you can try to target those orc boys. One of you can, one of you can't by the looks of it. Looks like Ikit's got most of the enemy units to rout here. There's a basic Crack's Call, just so that they don't come back. And it's really costing him a lot of mana there. There you go. Alright, good enough for me. Ikit, charge up here now. And okay, one of the catapults is moving. Let's switch you to a better position, perhaps. And where's the other one? Alright, avalanche mortars, let's put you here. In fact, let's put both the catapults here as well. Maybe that's a little bit too close. And one of you with the catapults, one of you there. Let's have Ikit move towards this barricade. And how the heck is their army still not shattered? Okay, I'll speed it up to max. The battle should be just about over. And some clan rats here. Avalanche mortars, work on these orc boys. Ikit, you need to keep casting so that you don't... Ah, there we go. There's the shatter. Beautiful. Alrighty, no casualties at all. And yes, obnoxious, but it was a tiny garrison and it wasn't really worth a fight. It should have been an auto-resolve. In fact, it was low casualties, but we couldn't afford to. Oh wow, Ikit and the Avalanche Mortar got an even number of kills, but it looks like the Avalanche Mortar is actually won in terms of damage. Well, good job to them. Now let's see what Ikit can do here. I'm quite curious. If we sack it, will we back enough away that we can still reach a new army? As another fight would be just swell. Decisive victory, yes, we will sack the place for another 17k, and we'll loot and occupy it after. And, okay, now looks like Ikit can't move. And if he can't move, he can't attack the armies. Yeah, he can't get close enough. Well, that's fine. I guess then we're going to occupy the massive orcal. One issue is if they try to attack. Well, I'm sure that Ikit can hold, even if they all attack him. If they try to run away, at least via the underway, he could potentially intercept them. But yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it at tier 1. Though it'll take forever to go. Wait, is this... It is a green territory. If we really wanted to, we could take it at tier 3. 40 food isn't all that much, considering how much food we've used. Yeah, you know what? Fine, take it at tier 3. I'll do not occupy. There you go. And we have a free Pox Cauldron here if we wanted to summon something. Not that we needed, would have preferred a few other things. And, that's funny. There's a tiny garrison there. Let's immediately start building walls here, though it looks like we will... Well, there's no way that we can complete them in time. And now I guess the question is, do we still suffer attrition here? Yes. I'm actually surprised that Skaven suffer mountain pass attrition at all, because I would have thought that they would be burrowing under it. But that's fine. And I take it the orcs are actually immune to the attrition of their own territory. Or are they immune to mountain attrition in general? Well, regardless. Now, I would be interested to see if these guys would actually attack this place or try to siege it. They're actually probably better off straight up attacking it than they are sieging it, because if they were to at least attack it, we wouldn't be able to force them into a field battle, in which case they would do much, much worse. But anyway, I digress. We'll see about that next time. Now, Metable is done. I believe we haven't had Garth fight anything in a while, so I guess we'll give him another try. You need points in Ancient Cunning. Just like everybody else does, but yes. Ancient Cunning for you. We had to prioritize stand or die before, but now, certainly get the Ancient Cunning. And let's see if you can get an ambush going. And no dice. No. Yeah, no, we can't fight 3. Not with this army. We can certainly badly damage one and with the draw, but we've got a lot more movement points remaining on Garth, so he can keep trying this at least a couple of times. He might be able to get at least one more ambush off. Let's see who else can fight. Cyprus, you're kind of stuck in a similar situation where you really want an ambush, but, well, you actually have 2 points in Ancient Cunning. Give it another try, I guess. Ah, there we go. Enemy failed to spot our ambush, and I forgot to check how many movement points you have left. We don't want this army to get caught out in a non-ambush. Its army is just too weak. But anyway, we'll be fighting this one as well. One more ambush, here we go. Alrighty, from Metable, who had a bad matchup in terms of the troops, to Cyprus, who is the worst army, or who has the worst army that we currently have. Now, I have learned my lesson, at least slightly, from the last time we fought specifically with Cyprus's army, which was to deploy the Warplog Jezzails a little bit higher on the mountain. Last time they were unable to fire at the flame cannons, or whatever they were firing at before, the artillery pieces, and now it looks like they are high enough up there to be able to take shots at the organ guns and destroy them, which is pretty nice. That said, we do have to be careful, as the enemy army is fairly considerably better than ours, and well, we need to be able to hold them off and do enough damage with the Plague Claws. That said, I do imagine we'll have a fight of it, especially if we can't kill enough units before they can get to us. I suppose it also does depend on how many of the enemy units are going to try to run as opposed to fight, in which we shall see shortly. Alrighty, and it looks like both the Jezzails and the Plague Claws together have done a number on the enemy organ guns. Few enough remaining, and a little bit more fire should take them out. Cyprus, of course, is also running around in the front of the battle lines, casting his spells as he can. And there's also a unit of gyrocopters who are going to drop their bombs on top of our clan rats, but are going to start taking hits from the fairly decent number of slingers that we have. In addition to that, it looks like the enemy does not want to run, and the entire force this time around is going to head towards us, which is pretty interesting because usually they don't do this. I guess they've seen that they might be able to win if they can get to our battle line, so we'll have to be a little bit careful. There's a unit of Giant Slayers running way out front, which we'll have to deal with, but fortunately, because of their low armor, the slingers should be able to damage them fairly heavily if we focus them down a little bit. So finally some decent use for the slingers against the dwarfs. We also have our 2 units of Death Runners who are waiting in the wings, but primarily to chase off any units that rout, or to hit the enemies in the back lines or the enemy range. Not yet anything that they can do, but their time will come. Alrighty, and I suppose this is finally time for the enemy to actually try to assault this hill. We've had the attempts to hold the hill in many of our ambush battles, but in very few of them have the enemy actually gotten to properly come up here, so should be a neat time. Here comes some more Slayers to help out the Giant Slayers, and these clan rats will rout fairly quickly, I'm sure. Trollhammer Torpedoes following Mr. Cypress along, and it looks like he's taken quite a bit of damage to those, and may have to be very careful about taking more. The Jezzails have now started to focus those Iron Drakes back, and are going to switch to the other unit of Iron Drakes to hopefully make sure that those Trollhammer Torps don't kill poor Cypress. There we go, and the Jezzails are getting a little bit of help from the single unit of our Poison Wind Globadiers. The Skryre Clanstone also comes down. We did get a nice use of our Warp Lightning in the middle of the enemy, but the Giant Slayers and Slayers do manage to see off these Skaven Slave Spears, and we'll be heading out to these Clan Rat Spears, who are also about to rout under the Hammerers and that Rune Lord as well. Looks like yet another unit of Clan Rats is routing over here, and we are starting to run out of melee units. Probably going to have to commit our Death Runners a little bit earlier than we'd like. On the bright side, though, the Jezzails have mostly killed the enemy Thunderers and the enemy Trollhammer Torps, so after these Rangers and presumably these Ironbreakers are gone, and they can simply switch to the melee line that is attacking us. It looks like the enemy Rangers have actually moved into melee rather than simply stand back and get killed by Jezzails and Catapults, which is probably a decent move on their part. And yep, our Clan Rats are running away, and our Jezzails are not our Jezzails, our Poison Wind Globadiers are a little bit in danger here, and it looks like our battle lines have switched from Clan Rats having to hold instead to the Slingers having to hold the enemy back, and the Slingers will not hold for very long. In fact, one of them, it looks like already they're routing, and the next one is about to follow suit. This battle is getting dangerous. The balance of power is definitely in our favor, but if the enemy break through all of our units that can be used as melee, or kill Cypress here, who's very badly beat up now, the ranged line is certainly not going to be able to do too much about it. Interesting. Hopefully he can pull it off, but we're going to have to back off a little bit further, and now I suppose a distraction is the name of the game. Just distract them long enough for the Jezzails and the Poison Winds to kill their units, and we can still continue to casting with Cypress as long as we can't be beside that Rune Lord, right? He causes the magic casting to explode, unless I'm mistaken. Or am I thinking of somebody else? Does he just increase miscast chance? I don't remember. I remember the Rune Lords have something, but anyway. It looks like these Slayers are chasing after those Poison Wind Globadiers, but fortunately the Jezzails are sniping the last of them. And now the rest of the enemy routs. Very, very close at the end there. If they hadn't routed, it would have been bad. We didn't really end up committing our Death Runners, mostly because they were chasing stuff around. These ones took out all the organ guns, which I think was pretty critical, so that they can't come back. And of course the Catapults were firing at those ranged units rather than melee, which allowed the melee to close a little bit. I think if I were to play this battle again, I would have had the Catapults focus melee a lot more, and ignore the range, allowing the Jezzails just to focus the range, and maybe even sent in our Death Runners a little bit earlier to fight the range units, while we prevented a few more of the enemy melee to move in, and possibly instead of firing on the Thunderers with the Jezzails, it might have been beneficial to have all three focus down the Rune Lord, and just to shock the enemy's morale, and then switch afterwards, as 3 units focus firing a single unit. It would have done a pretty decent number on the enemy. Anyway, a few more enemy units are gonna run away, or at least they're gonna try, but because they all actually ran at us this time around, we should have a lot of room to give chase. Poison Winds are in range, and so are our Jezzails going to be in range for a very, very long time, and it looks like they have plenty of ammunition to shoot into the backs of the enemy dwarfs. Alright. 100 points for hitting one in the back of the head, Jezzails. I noticed that a lot of Longbeards don't wear helmets. They think they're space wolves. Ouch. Probably should have worn your helmet, buddy. Although perhaps a helmet wouldn't stop a Jezzail bullet. I somehow doubt it. I mean, it may be Dwarven armor, but somehow I doubt it. warpstone bullets are probably decent in terms of being armor-piercing rounds. And it looks like the Rune Lord is slowly moving away, but he is, he's got his little boat through the Earth boat. Land ship? That's it. Well, I guess this isn't a ship, so Earth boat is probably more appropriate. Although it'll be nothing shortly as a few more shots. It looks like they're going to take care of him. And down he goes. Alrighty, and with that, I do believe pretty much everybody else is dead. The Death Runners have been running around killing things. These guys have 78 kills, in fact, though their damage is a little bit low. We did manage to pull this off, and we're going to speed up the rest of it. I'm a little bit concerned with how badly Cyprus is damaged, though. If we are to fight again here, he isn't going to be able to do too much. That said, we did get a heroic victory because this particular army is pretty trash, so I'm happy that we managed to pull it off. Well, a heroic victory for Cyprus, quite nice. He won't be able to heal to full, unfortunately, however, which could be a concern. I do wonder how we'll want to deal with the fact that he can't heal to full. Do we fight again or do we not? But anyway, at the very least we got a heroic victory, though to be fair, probably most of the battles with this army are going to be heroic victories if they manage to win, mostly because, frankly, this army has way too many trash units. 4 clan rats, 2 Skaven slaves, and then 4 units of gutter runners, slingers, without poison at that. Just way too many weak units. But anyway, let's eat captives for now. And we are in range of the second army. The question is, do we actually go after it? Or do we leave it be and then go back to Carrick-Hearn? That would be playing it safe. But I'm not entirely sure. If we do get another ambush, and then it'll certainly be worthwhile. But if we fail, I fear that Cyprus will not be able to run far enough away to get back to Carrick-Hearn, although he might be able to move right outside, and if he can draw the garrison out, it'll probably still be worth a fight, even with the... even tired. That said, if he does succeed in an ambush, and we do have enough points to get him another point in Ancient Cunning, so that's at 30% now, he could certainly fight. You can get Specimen Collector as well, not that the enemy control and then local enemy province helps all that much. There's a lot of these types of negative control things that I just find completely useless. Like, what's the likelihood that you actually stand in a bunch of enemy provinces for long enough to actually force rebellions there? It feels just like a waste of your time. Most of the time, anyway. You can get, well, it would be nice to move to Lightning Strike. I think Inspiring Presence just in case. Though, frankly, you're so hurt that it ain't great anyway. And let's go for Inspiring Presence. Alrighty, and we'll have to figure out whether we attack you next time, because unfortunately we are out of time. In fact, let's do a quick count here. So Metabel is done. He has defeated Carrick-Norn. We have 2 armies still to fight with Garth. Ikit is done because he can't move anymore. We have Mutant 1, who is also done because he can't move anymore. I think with 1 fight for Carrick-Hearn, 2 fights for Carrick-Ziflin, and then 1 fight for Queek outside Karak-Azul, it's looking like we have 1 more episode remaining of turn 78. And then turn 79, we will finally be able to end the turn, which means most likely a massive assault from the Karazakarak dwarfs and a massive assault from the Clan Angron dwarfs. I actually do wonder whether we'll want to get a temporary lord in Verdanos just in case. I feel like they won't attack us with all 5 lords. At least I doubt it. Because they don't need to. I will probably send 3 or 4. Wait, 4 is the max anyway. I wonder if the AI is smart enough to divert some of its units, because look, this guy's in range of Ruinous. But anyway, we'll figure that out next time, as well as hopefully the last remaining of the minor faction forces, and then afterwards turn our heads towards the destruction, or at least holding off the Dwarven and the Orcish tide coming from the World's Edge Mountains. Should be an interesting time. Stay tuned for it all. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.